Hello, white people. The state of Oregon has fallen. If you live in that state or near that state, I suggest you sell everything and leave. I'm serious. This is terrible. Oregon decriminalizes possession of hard drugs as 4 other states legalize recreational marijuana. Oregon voters on Tuesday overwhelmingly passed a measure to decriminalize the possession of street drugs. Now, when they say Oregon voters, they mean Portland, in the Willamette Valley, all the way down to Eugene. The rest of Oregon does not agree with the Willamette Valley. Anyway, so Oregon voters in Willamette Valley decided on Tuesday to decriminalize the possession of street drugs, becoming the first state to embrace a plan billed as a way to drastically narrow drug arrests. This is part of the communist plan to not criminalize criminals or throw criminals in jail and throw dissenters in jail. This is actually worse than California, I think. I don't know. Somebody will have to tell me. The result was one of many noteworthy wins for advocates seeking to change drug laws. Oregon also legalized psychedelic mushrooms, which were decriminalized in the District of Columbia as well. New Jersey, Arizona, Montana, and South Dakota each voted to legalize recreational marijuana, joining 11 other states plus D.C., which have already done so, and Mississippi legalized it for medical use. The passage of Oregon's Measure 110 means the state's residents will no longer face arrests or prison sentences for carrying small amounts of drugs like cocaine, heroin, OxyContin, and methamphetamine. The measure, which passed by almost 60%, also lays out a groundwork for addicts to receive treatment as opposed to jail time. This is the most significant reform in our nation's failed drug policies in a generation, said Cassandra Frederique, the executive director of Drug Policy Alliance, which spent more than $4 million backing the measure. It's particularly significant because most people don't realize that drug possession is the #1 arrest in the country. Marijuana advocates, meanwhile, said that they hope the wide support for legalization seen on Tuesday will put pressure on Congress to change federal marijuana laws. It comes down to the fact that marijuana prohibition has been an abject failure, said Matthew Schweik, deputy director of the Marijuana Policy Project. If you're not going to punish people harshly for marijuana, then you might as well legalize it to control it and regulate and use revenue for important public services. Marijuana has been legal in Oregon since 2015. Now, thanks to Measure 110, millions of dollars in tax revenue will go toward addiction treatment facilities and a state-supervised fund that will pay for drug problems, treatment, and housing. The measure also reduces drug misdemeanor charges to non-criminal offenses, institutes a $100 fine, and requires offenders to be screened for drug addiction. For people caught with large quantities of substances, the penalty has been reduced from a felony charge to a misdemeanor. I also wonder, well, let's see if this initiative says anything about all the people who've had their lives destroyed by felony charges. Because, you know, when people aren't harming anybody, but when you're selling illegal drugs, it's not like it's coming from the pharmacy and then the pharmacy is going to get in trouble if it's bad, right? Anyway. So now we have, if you're caught with large quantities of substances, the penalty is no longer a felony, but a misdemeanor. What the Oregon Initiative represents is the ability to prioritize giving our loved ones the help, the resources that they need, and shunning criminalization, Frederique said. It removes the barriers to treatment and harm reduction and other health services. Well, you know, the problem with drug addicts, it's not that they have a drug addiction, it's their behavior problems. That's the problem right there, is their behavior problems. And so this is just going to keep those people with behavior problems from being locked up. And, you know, back when they deinstitutionalized people who had severe mental health problems, especially ones that were violent, families really suffered if they had a violent family member because they couldn't get that person locked up. And they needed to be locked up for the safety of the family and society. So here we go, guys. Welcome to communism. Measure 110 addresses racial inequities. Oh my God, really? in the legal system, Frederick said, because the drug charges disproportionately target people of color. Right. You know how many people of color there are in the state of Oregon? About 5. The measure was opposed by the Oregon District Attorneys Association and local drug addiction organizations. I'm sorry, there's not 5 people that are black or brown in Oregon. There's not many at all. The measure was opposed by the Oregon District Attorneys Association and local drug addiction organizations. Critics argued that there aren't enough beds at drug treatment facilities in the state, and some claim that drug addicts only confront addictions under the threat of imprisonment. But the initiative also had high-powered backers. In addition to the Drug Policy Alliance's spending, Facebook founder and chief executive Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan gave $500,000, according to the Oregonian. No agenda. The Oregon Academy of Family Physicians, Oregon Nurses Association, and the Oregon chapter of the American College of Physicians endorsed Measure 110. Really? And singer John Legend also boosted its profile when he expressed his support on Twitter. No one cares what John Legend thinks. What a bunch of weirdos. Frederick said she expects other states to follow Oregon's lead. Other states are just going to send all their drug addicts to Oregon. They're not going to follow their lead. They're not stupid. We expect this victory to inspire other states to follow suit and have their own drug decriminalization policies that prioritize health over punishment, she said. The state of Oregon is going to become one giant psychiatric facility to house drug addicts. Well, now we won't have any more drug addicts in the rest of America. Anyway, you probably see this go to court because the wordage on the ballot was very misleading. All right, white people, that's the damage for now. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.